All right, let's talk about two compounds that are just everywhere right now. Retatrutide and Tirzepatide. They're both making huge headlines, both in these massive clinical trials. But here's the thing, they are not the same. And the way they're different, it's way more important than most people think. So let's get into it and break down what actually separates these two.
So yeah, that's the big question for today. We're going to look at how they work, the mechanism, we'll check out the clinical data we have so far, and what all of this really means for the research world. Let's kick things off with the compound that kind of set the stage for all of this. You see, to really get what makes Retatrutide so unique, you have to understand Tirzepatide first. It's the baseline. Its mechanism is the very foundation that all this new research is being built on.
And that foundation for Tirzepatide all starts with a group of hormones called incretins. Your body releases these after you eat, and they are basically the managers in charge of insulin and the signals that tell your brain, hey, you're full now.
Okay, so this is where Tirzepatide's whole mechanism comes into play. It's what's called a dual agonist. Now, what does that mean? Well, it just means it activates two different hormone receptors at the exact same time. On one hand, you've got the GLP-1 receptor. Think of this as the appetite control center. And on the other hand, you've got the GIP receptor, which is all about insulin secretion. So, by hitting both of these targets, you get this really powerful 1-2 punch for both glucose regulation and appetite.
So, just to recap Tirzepatide real quick, it's from Eli Lilly, it's a dual agonist, and it's got a ton of published phase 3 data from its SURMOUNT trial program. I mean, this stuff is already out there, which is why it's one of the most talked about compounds in metabolic research today.
Okay, so if Tirzepatide is our baseline, then Retatrutide is the next evolution. It takes that whole dual agonist idea and then adds a really fascinating new piece to the puzzle.
And there it is. Simple as that. Retatrutide is a triple agonist. So on top of hitting GLP-1 and GIP like we just talked about, it also goes after the glucagon receptor. This right here, this is the whole game changer.
So what's so special about this third receptor? Well, unlike the other two, which are all about food intake and insulin, the glucagon receptor does something totally different. When you activate it, it actually revs up your body's energy expenditure. It basically tells your body to start burning more calories, even when you're just sitting around.
And I love this quote because it just puts it so perfectly. Think about it this way. GLP-1 and GIP are telling your brain, hey, let's take in less fuel. But then glucagon comes in and tells the body's engine to run a little hotter and burn more fuel. You can see how combining all three could have a much bigger metabolic impact.
All right, so we've got the dual agonist versus the triple agonist. The mechanisms are clearly different on paper, but what's the actual trial data say? How do they stack up in the real world?
Let's look at the data we have side by side. For Tirzepatide, we have the published SURMOUNT phase 3 trials, which showed major weight reduction over 72 weeks. For Retatrutide, the big phase 3 TRIUMPH trials are still in the works, but the earlier data we've seen points to some really pronounced effects on not just weight, but also fat mass, which is a key detail.
Okay, hold on. Before we get too excited, we need to put a big asterisk here. This is super important. We are not comparing apples to apples yet. Not even close. You see, the data we have for Retatrutide is from phase 2 trials. That's all about seeing if a drug works in a smaller group. Phase 3, which is where Tirzepatide's data comes from, is the big leagues. It's about confirming those results in a huge population. So the real, full picture for Retatrutide, we just don't have it yet.
But with that caveat in mind, the phase 2 data for Retatrutide that got published in the New England Journal of Medicine, it was pretty jaw-dropping. It suggested this wasn't just a stronger version of the dual agonist. No, it seemed to produce a fundamentally different metabolic profile. Research has pointed right at that glucagon component, saying it appeared to be driving these unique effects on reducing fat mass and increasing energy burn.
So let's pull all this together. For anyone following this research, what are the big takeaways? I mean, why does this whole dual versus triple agonist thing actually matter so much?
It really boils down to three things. Number one, the mechanism is everything. These are not just swappable drugs. They seem to create different results in the body. Number two, glucagon is the secret sauce here. That burn more energy part is what truly sets Retatrutide apart. And number three, we got to respect the trial stage. Tirzepatide's data is much more mature, while everyone is on the edge of their seats waiting for Retatrutide's phase 3 results.
And that leads us perfectly to the final and honestly the most exciting part of this whole story. What's next? What is the entire research community watching for right now?
So here's the timeline. In the past, we got the Tirzepatide SURMOUNT data. Right now, we have the Retatrutide phase 2 data. But the future, The big event on the horizon that everyone is waiting for is the final data from the Retatrutide Triumph Phase 3 trials. That is going to be the moment of truth.
And that just leaves us with this one massive question. We're in this amazing moment where the story is still being written. And the real question is this, is adding this energy burn component, telling the body not just to eat less, but to actively burn more, is that about to become the new gold standard for all metabolic research? I guess only time and that Triumph data will tell.